Today we're going to be taking a look at DT engineering, and we'll go through how to use the back end of your website to make different changes. So you'll start by going to your URL and then logging in through wp-admin, just like that. And this is where you'll put in the username or email address and password that we've given you to log in. And you'll reach the back end here. So this is where everything happens on your website. Don't need to worry about this stuff over here on the right. I'm going to go down through these items here on the left, and this is where everything for your website is located. So under updates, this is where all the plugins that we use for your site are located. And if there's a number next to it, then that means some plugins are available to be updated, and so you can select them all and update those plugins. We regularly back up and check all of our sites. So I think, if I remember correctly, you guys aren't hosted through us, so you are going to need to do that yourself every so often, update these. I'm not going to do that now for the sake of time, so I'm just going to move on to the next thing. Posts would be like if you had a blog, which you've got a test post but you don't have a blog. So we'll move on to media. This is your media library, where all of the items that are graphics or photos are located. And so you can see what you have here. You can upload media here through add new, drag items here, or select files. You can edit them here if you want to crop them down or make them smaller sizes. But generally when you need media, you'll have an option to get to it, not through the media library. But that's just so you know, that's where that is. So let's move on to forms. I think you just have the contact form on your home page. And this is pretty simple, just name, email, and then a message right there. And so the way that you would change that is just by clicking on this, and you can change the field label right here. You can change that if you'd like. You can make it required if you'd like. You can add other fields over here like radio buttons, and you can add, I can say I want to give this a choice and say, how did you hear about us? And then, type that in here, and then say a friend or whatever. You can get rid of an option or add more options, and then change all of those, and then click update. And since I don't want this, I'm going to delete it. And then you click update to save it. And to view the entries of those forms, you're going to go to entries right there. And this, you can see where we've tested all of these. Or you could also get to that through forms, entries right there. And then this is where those will all be located. But as you saw under forms, you've got settings here. So under notifications, these are also being sent to these emails. You can delete any of these or add any of these if you'd like, but the contents of the form in its entirety should send to these emails. And if you ever want to add a different email, I would just hit duplicate here, and then the one that you've duplicated, this copy here, I would come in and then change the name to whatever you want, and then change the email here. And then it's already going to send all the fields, and then hit update notification. So that's really all you need to know about forms. You have a pretty simple form, so you're probably not going to need to change a whole lot on there. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. So moving on to pages. So on your site, I'm going to open a link in another tab so we can look at it. Your pages are all of these items here. Any of these things that are obviously a page. But if you'll look under the actual pages, it's just going to be short code for these different homepage areas, which is right here, and that's where all this stuff is located. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment, and we'll talk about that. So really in the pages, if you ever want to create a new page, I'll show you how to do that in a minute, I guess. I'm thinking you're probably not going to add new pages, but let's move on to Essential Grid. I'm trying to we're not using that. So let me go to this homepage sections. Okay, this is where all of your pages are located. So let's look at agricultural just for a minute, just to pick one. So agricultural, they're in alphabetical order. It looks like over here. Yeah. So we've got slider. This, since it says draft next to it, means we're not using it, list and photo. So let's look. I've got this slider, I've got a list, and I've got a photo. So that makes total sense. So for the slider, there's just short code in here because we'll talk about Revolution slider in a minute. So just short code. And so to go back, I need to click all agricultural again and then click on this list. Okay, so on this list, this is the text that is right here. So this is where I'm assuming you're not going to be making huge changes here, but this is where the text would be located. So if you wanted to change some of these items, if you wanted to change the wording here or the size of the wording, or if you wanted to change the color of it, so that's where you could change the color here, but you're not going to want to make it a button or anything like that. But you can make the text white or brown. You can bold, italicize anything. You can align it differently. So we have this short code here to make these lists in half so that you've got 3 on each side. So that's what these little things mean. But if you want to come in and change the wording on there, you can do that. And so if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a background color right here, and that's this background color here. So if you ever need to remember what color that is, the color code is right there. So you can copy and paste that wherever. And then this changes the transparency or the opaqueness of the color right here. And then you want to click yes on the padding on anything that has words on it. And if you're ever recreating one of these sections, I would just mimic exactly what this looks like. So sliding these bars exactly where these are. So, and then update if you ever change anything. So that's how you would change the wording. So let's go back to all agricultural and then look at this photo. So this is done the same way. There's no words on this section, so you don't need to put any words here, and just scroll down, and that's where you would find the background image, add file, and you can choose any picture that you've got in your library, or you can upload a file and then choose that photo. Again, we've got padding checked. There's no color over the top of this photo. It's just the photo. We've got this set as an extra tall area, and we've also got these slid up to 50 that's to position the photo and make it look nice and good. And then if you want to reorder the sections, that's done just by dragging these. And so that's a draft, so we're not actually that's not actually there, but they're ordered by dragging them. That's how all of these are ordered. So let's take a look at another one just to see what we've got going on here. Just to help make it clear. At the top of each one of these pages is going to be a slider, because this is the slider, and so I'll talk to you about those in just a moment. So yeah, let's look at our culture page. So like I said, the slider is there, and then that's just short code in there, and I'll show you where to find those sliders and their short codes in just a minute. So video, that's what's right here. So in order to get a YouTube video here, what you'd have to do is on your YouTube page, get the embed code for that YouTube video. So I wonder if I can see this. That's located, share, embed, and then this is what you would need to copy, and then you would paste it. There's a visual side and a text side. You'd need to paste it in this side. And then we've formatted the width, this number here, and the height to make it look right on the page. So you just have to play around with that, or like I said, just mimic exactly what we have here if you wanted it to look the same. But we've got it looking all nice for you. Wouldn't mess with it unless you need to. So you've got, and then you've got your wording beneath that. So this is heading 4, and then this is just regular paragraph size font. And so that's how you've got that blue right there. And padding, yes, on this, and then no background color or anything. And then we've got this quote image. That's where the quote bubble comes in on this one. So if you end up wanting to change the quote or changing that graphic, then you would go into add file just like you did with the photos and the other, or the background, and then upload it here and then select it. So again, if I want to, okay, now I need to look at the other sections again, you've got to go down to our culture. So come to our culture and look at photo 1. And again, that's the same. It's just a photo in the background. And there's no color over it or anything. Padding is checked yes. Extra tall is checked yes. So again, you're just going to, and we've got this one positioned a little differently just so that it looks good and you can see. This is a slider, so that's why under the next section it said slider. So that's just going to be short code again, and then we're going to have another video. The size of this video will be different, but we did the same thing, embed the code, and then put some wording there, and then this will be the same with just a picture. So like I said, these can be changed by dragging them. And so I'll click on this one just so you can see again if you wanted to change the wording underneath this video or the size of the video. If you want to change it, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, it's this width and height in pixels or percentages. You can change it however you want. And then this is where you would change the wording. You can change the size, italicize it, bold, number, whatever you want to do. And then you click update. And each one of your pages works basically like that. I cannot think of a page that has something really different. You have the slider, video, and this is a graphic. And each page works essentially like that. And so then on your pages, you've got how this was added was just through pods shortcode. And we've displayed, we want to list multiple pod items, and then you would have chose whatever page it was that you wanted to do, and then hit insert. Oops, I didn't choose one. And then you hit insert, and then it would insert this same exact code. Click update. So again, probably not going to need to really worry about that too much, but I think that I've given you pretty good idea on how those work. And it works the same for, this is when you click on, when you click on, keep doing that, homepage sections. Now this is, when I clicked on it like that, that is the actual home page. And again, it works very similarly because you're going to have a slider on the home page, which is this right here. And then we've got this vision section. So under vision, this is where you could update the wording like the same way, can change the size, you can add a picture, whatever you want to do. Scroll down and you've got that DaVinci, this thing in the background. So that's in the background, and we put a little transparency over it, a white transparency. And again, this is where you can get the color code if you need to use it somewhere else. Padding. And then we've got that quote image also. And so then we've got one of the homepage areas set up as a video. So if you want to change out the video on you'd get that embed code and basically mimic this. So paste that embed code and then make it 100% wide and that 555 height. Scroll down. This is another slider. So you've just got short code for the slider. This is a slider, just got short code for that as well. So that's your home page. It's just going to have a video, and then these two are just short code for a slider. So I'll show you how to edit the text in the slider in just a minute. So we'll move on to appearance. And let's look at widgets. And that's where all of this is going to be located, anything that's in your footer and your header. So we've got your logo here that links to the home page. Got your menu. And then in the footer, have the image again. It's smaller. And then this visual editor is where we've got the quote, your phone number, and location. So if you want to delete the quote, if you change your phone number or your address, anything like that changes, this is where you could come and change it. And then hit save. And you wouldn't really need to do anything else, but that's where that's located in case you ever need that. We created that form earlier. There's only one form, and so we added that here. If you end up creating a new form, then you could select form over here, add it to footer 1, and then hit add widget, and it'll show up over here. Or footer 2 or wherever you want it. But once these items are added, you can drag them wherever you want. And simple social icons. This is where we have your Facebook and Google Plus and all of that. So if you add any new social media and you want to add that URI, just do that right here. And probably not going to want to mess with these icons or anything, the colors, because we've got that set up and the alignment all set up right. And that's everything here. Like I said, if you want to add items from over here, you can add a form, you can add a photo, but we've got that set up, so I doubt that you'll want to do that. So let's take a quick look at menus. So these are all just linked to the individual pages. So if you ever create a new page, it'll show up over here. You'll want to select it and add it to the menu. It'll show up at the bottom, and then you can put it wherever you want. Make it a sub item to anything that you want. You can put it anywhere. And then you can also delete it. So if you ever want to rearrange these, that's just done through dragging and then clicking save. And if you ever want to change the title, so if I don't want my menu item to say who we are, I want it to say about us. And then you would just change that by typing about us there. And you can see this says custom link, and then it doesn't link anywhere. And that's because these don't link anywhere. So that's how we set those up, because you didn't want them to link anywhere. So these link to certain pages, and then the main menu items don't link anywhere. So that's the main things there if you want to change anything. So let's move on. Plugins. Probably not going to add any new plugins or anything there. I showed you how to update them earlier. Let's look at users. So we've given you some admins. This is where you could come in and change your password if you would like. Right here. And that's really the only thing. You can add new users if you want and give them a name, password, and then make them an admin. But again, you're going to want to be careful about who you give access to the back end of your website to, obviously. Tools, settings, not anything we're going to worry about. The next thing we'll talk about is slider revolution, which I've mentioned a few times. This is what creates these slides, and then also what creates these slides here, the history and those type of things. So you have quite a few, and they're named after mostly what they are. So the home slider is right here. What we do, careers, equipment list. So let's just look at this factory automation systems one. And it's all set up so that they all look uniform. You're not going to want to mess with any of the timing or the overlays or anything on these. But if you end up wanting to change the wording here, you can click on this and then change the wording here. And then it's going to change these boxes and the size of the boxes. And so if you made it a smaller word, you're going to need to extend the edges of this yellow box so that it fits, or make it smaller so that it looks good. And then you'll always want to hit save, and then just go through each screen size and make sure that it looks okay on each mobile and screen size device. So let's go back to all sliders, and home bottom, this is going to be this one here. And this is the same idea. Not going to want to mess with the way that it works, but if you want to change the text, this is where it is. And so these mean a line break, so you don't want to make anything, you don't want to change any of the coding that makes this bold or all bold line breaks, but you can change the wording if you find a typo or you want to change the wording. And then each slide is located up here. So if I want to change slide number 2, then that's how I get to slide number 2, where I can change the text in the same way here. And you can change the color of the text, the size of the text. You can change any of that, the font, but I'm just assuming you're probably not going to do that. And then always hit save. And that works the same way with all of those different slides. So you've got that principles slide where we talk about the different principles of the company, and that's the same thing. I can change the wording here, or change the wording here if you want to take out the reference or whatever. And then just go through each one, and you need to hit save on each time you change something. So if I change something on this slide, I need to hit save before I go to the next slide, or it will not save. So those are all those items. And if you end up wanting to add the slide somewhere that it isn't already, then you would click embed slider, and then that's where it gives you the shortcode that you can copy and paste. And so this is the timeline slider. That is this one. So if you want to change anything on that one, that's where that one's located. And then the rest of them are mainly just the ones at the top. And so I'm double clicking on that, and that's how I'm getting this little box to pop up. And again, you're going to want to hit save every time you change anything. And yeah, the rest of these are just the ones that are at the top of the page. And if you want to change the words from oil and gas or pharmaceutical, then you're probably going to want to change the word on the menu, which I've shown you how to do that. So those are the main things there. Don't think you'll probably want to change much else. So you can let us know if you have more questions. Moving on, WordFence is just to keep hackers from your website. Essential Grid is used in 2 places on your website. For the Our Work and the Our Community page, there's videos on the Our Work page. So if you want to change the order of these, that can be done by dragging them. Oops, I don't want to play the video. So you see that I can just drag it however I want. And So by going to settings, and I can add a new video if I want by add items, YouTube, and then I would just add the YouTube ID here and give it a title if I want or whatever. You can just, but you don't have to. And then add element and then change it and move it around wherever you want and then hit save. So that'd be the only thing you'd do here is just add a video, and all you'd have to do is click add YouTube and then hit save. So going back to Essential Grid, you've also got the Our Community, where we've looked at how your company is involved in the community. And that would be done the same way by just adding an image. And I'm going to say single, not bulk image. I'd choose an image from the library, and then you're going to want to give it a caption, and then that's what's shows up here as Veterans Wall or those type of things. And then you hit add element, and then you can rearrange them however you'd like, and then hit save. And again, you just drag them however you want, or you could obviously delete them if you would want. But those are all formatted, so you don't really need to worry about any of the formatting. You can just add through images there. And don't need to worry about fonts. I don't know that you have a map. Trying to remember if you do. On the contact page, you do have a map. So let's look at, if you wanted to add, if let's say you have another location you end up needing to add, you would go to add location. You'd type in a title for the location, and then you'd start typing the address, and then whatever it is, it's going to come up on here, and it'll fill in all that stuff automatically for you, and then you'd hit save location. Then you would go to manage maps, and then I'd say, oh, I want to add this to this map here. So we've got this all set up for you, but if you want to change something about the height, the width, the zoom level, any of those things, you can. And if I had added a new location, it would show up right here, and I could just select it, and then it would show up wherever the other location is. It'd show up. Or if you need to add a new map, I would just mimic this exactly the way it is if you for some reason want to add a new map with a different location. And then manage locations. So let's say you change locations or something changes, then this looks just like when I showed you how to add one, and then you just change it to whatever it is and then hit save, and then it'll already be in the map the right way. And so that is your contact page is also under here, under these homepage sections. I believe. Yeah, contact. Slider, contact info, map. And so then we just got that short code from the map page, and it's pasted right there. And the contact info is all right here. And so you can see this is like the side with the code, and you want to look at the visual side, this is what it looks like. And like I said, we have this code here that lets it be in columns like that. So if you ever need to change your email, you can type that, and then you hyperlink it by clicking that and pasting the link there. If you ever need to change your hours, that's where all this is located. And like I said, it all works the same way. Just find the section, and then they should be in the order that they're in on the page, and just however it makes sense, wherever there's a break. The slider, then this section, then this section, and then this is always in the footer, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's everything. That's everything on your site that you need to worry about. So if you end up having more questions, let us know, and we would be happy to help. But this should get you started on just how to update content and text, things like that.